Hey guys, welcome back to Wild West Woodscraft. My name is Trevor, and I'm getting ready to go on a 3-day backpacking trip for about 22 miles. And so I wanted to show you the gear that I'm going to be carrying with me for this trip. And it's springtime right now, so there is a chance of some snow the last day, but it probably won't be very much. But the temperatures still get very close to freezing at night and sometimes below freezing, so I have to still be warm. But during the day it could get to 60, 70 degrees. So there's a lot of temperature regulation that has to go on. But I wanted to go lightweight because it's going to be a long trip. I'm primarily going to be along a trail, so I didn't want a lot of gear. I wanted to go lightweight, but I still wanted some equipment in case something goes wrong and just to be comfortable. This is about as minimal as I will go if I want to be comfortable and still have capabilities in case something goes wrong. So if I'm going on an extended, backcountry trip, I want to make sure I have some items that will keep me safe, but I also want to be comfortable. I could survive with less, but this is what I bring to stay comfortable for 3 days. So getting into it right off the bat, I'll talk about what clothing I'm wearing. So I just have this wide brim hat from Cool, and it's a waxed cotton, so it will protect me from the rain, but it also just keeps my head shaded from the sun, keep me from getting sunburned. Just got a pair of sunglasses for because it's pretty sunny and I'm going to be in a burn area, and so there won't be a lot of shade, so it'll get old on the eyes. I also might do some fishing, so I like having sunglasses when I'm fishing. And then going down, just got a Wazoo spark necklace on. That's always on body. I have a First Light Wicks t-shirt, merino wool t-shirt, and then just this Cool Outsider shirt jack. And in the pockets I just have extra set of contacts, that way I always have those on body. And just a First Light belt, very minimal, so it feels good under the hip belt for my pack, but it also is stiff enough it'll support my pistol. These are a pair of Cool Outsider pants. I like these because they have nice thigh pockets for maps and stuff, and then also vents on the side so you can regulate your body's temperature. They're waxed cotton, so they won't melt really easily around fires, but they're also lightweight. They dry really quick. They don't hold a lot of water if you were to do a creek crossing and stuff, which I'll definitely be doing a few of those on this trip. And then I have a pair of First Light merino wool Wicks boxers on. And then for footwear, I'm wearing these Limbs boulder boots. These are the Summit version, so they have more aggressive tread. And then just a pair of merino wool lightweight socks from First Light. So that's on body. With that, it will protect me from some light rain, but it will also keep me cool, keep me shaded, and I have layers to be able to take on and off depending on what I'm doing. So then getting on to kit. So starting out with my tool kit that I have, because I subscribe to the idea of basing smaller kits inside your pack off of your survival priorities. So fire, shelter, water, food, first aid, navigation, signaling, hygiene, and then tools. And that's kind of how I base my kit. I got that idea from the Graybearded Green Beret, and it's just a way to stay organized, and it keeps your kit you're only carrying what you need to provide for your needs. So starting with tools, I have just one trekking pole, because I'll be doing some creek crossings and stuff. This will just make it easier, and I'm going to be putting in a lot of miles, so this will just help. I prefer only using one. Two just gets in the way. I like having one hand free, especially if I'm using a camera. So I have one trekking pole, and I can collapse that down and strap it to my pack if I don't want to carry it. And then this isn't ultra light by any means, and this loadout isn't really ultra light. It's not bushcraft. It's kind of just a combination of all of it. For me, just being a woodsman means I carry tools with me to be able to provide for myself, but I also go lightweight because there's no reason to carry cast iron on a backpacking trip. However, carrying something like this small tomahawk from Hobo Forge Survival, it comes in handy because I won't be using a stove on this trip. I'll be cooking with just fires, so having a small tool to collect firewood is really handy. I like this small little tomahawk, relatively lightweight for an axe, and it works really well. It's a beautiful tool, and so I'm carrying it. Yeah, because I like it. And it will definitely get put to use. The belt knife I'm carrying is this Hobo Forge Sear Puko. Really like this knife. And then I have a large gauge S needle taped to the back for repairs on like my boots and stuff if it's thick leather. And then I have a Leatherman Charge Plus. So this gives me a pair of pliers, wire cutters, a small saw, a couple of different blades, a file so I can sharpen my tomahawk, a pair of scissors for trimming fingernails, and can opener, which I won't need. So just some small tools that I find come in handy quite a bit for multiple different tasks, all in a small little package. And then I have an Exotac rip spool, and what this is it's just a machined aluminum spool that has duct tape on it, and then it unscrews, and there's a repair needle inside, and you can also use it like an awl to punch through. And then on the spool on the bottom end has some sewing thread. So just to be able to make repairs. The duct tape is also a good fire starter. That's what I use for repairing my sleeping pad if I get holes, repairing my tarp, blisters on my feet, first aid, lots of uses for duct tape. And then my last tool item, or second last, is just going to be a small spool of number 36 bank line. This is just for shelter construction, repairs, fishing, all sorts of different uses for just some cordage. But there's about 100 feet on here, pretty small, lightweight, nice little micarta spool from Tough Possum Gear. And then the last tool I have with me is just Glock 19, and that's loaded with Federal HST hollow points. I just have 15 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. That should be plenty. I don't need any more ammunition than that. It is springtime, and so bears can be out and about, so just having a sidearm is nice in my opinion. 9mm is not your best case or best choice for bear protection, but it's what I've trained with, it's what I'm familiar with, so I'm pretty confident in that. And it's small enough and lightweight that I don't mind carrying it. It doesn't get in the way. And then moving on to my water kit and cooking kit. For water, I have a 16-ounce titanium water filter from Grail, and so my water filter is attached to my water bottle, so you just fill this with dirty water, press it down, forces it through the filter, and you have 16 ounces of clean water. That outer cup is also titanium, so I can use that over the fire for my cook pot as well. Really like that filter. I have a 1-liter water bladder right here just for some backup water, because there's a few stretches on this trip that I'll be away from water. Most of it I'm going to be following a creek or a river, so I don't need to have a lot of capacity, but a 1.5 liters is enough to get me from water point to water point on this stretch where I'll be going up and over a mountain. And then I just have a long-handled titanium spoon from BEW, American made, like that. And it's really important to have that long-handled one, especially with this Grail, because in order for you to eat out of it or cook in it, you have to have a long-handled spoon because it's such a long container. And when you're eating freeze-dried meals, that way you're not getting your hands down inside the bag. So I enjoy that. And then I just have this small titanium mug from Tokes. This is just a 375 milliliter cup, just for a lid for this pot, and then drinking or eating out of. Just nice to have another little container. Moving on to my first aid. It really consists of 2 items, well technically 3. A lot of my kit is used in first aid in an emergency, but this is my primary first aid kit. I also have this 1-liter water bladder, which when you squeeze it, it shoots water out the cap really nicely, so you can use that for irrigating your eye or a wound. As well as, you know, a cup to boil water, make medicines with. I have a large cotton, I guess, piece of cotton cloth right here, muslin cloth. I can use that for making slings and swaths and bandages if I need to. My inflatable pad, you can use that to help make a splint. So lots of different first aid items mingled throughout my kit. But my primary first aid is right here. In this little pouch, I just have a cat tourniquet, Gen 7, and that just stays on the outside of my pack, so I have a tourniquet readily available, because I am a firm believer of, if you're carrying a firearm, if you're carrying tools, you should have a way to stop bleeding. And worst case, you know, if I were to get attacked by a bear or something, you want some way to stop bleeding on your extremities. So having a tourniquet, I find that it's not a lot of weight, but very important, because it's hard to stop bleeding, especially on yourself if you have an arterial bleed, and you don't want to lose any more blood than you absolutely have to when you're out in the middle of the backcountry. So, and then in my first aid kit, this pouch is from Tough Possum Gear. I like it because it's clearly labeled. This is both reflective and glow in the dark, so even at night I can find this. Nice pull tabs on here that I can get a handle of with these big red beads. And in here, I got quite a few different things. So right on the top, I got a Hardin Hill honey propolis tincture, and that's really good for small cuts and scrapes and burns and just preventing infection on minor wounds. And it promotes healing. I really like that. I have a pair of mini X shears. These are heavy-duty trauma shears that are also small enough to fit in this kit, so being able to expose a wound. These also are nice, like if you need to trim your beard or something. It's nice to have a pair of scissors. I have a small tube of sunscreen, because I get sunburned really easily. Usually I like just trying to cover my skin up, but in case I need it, I got that sunscreen. I have a Mylar emergency blanket that's also orange. That's part of my signal kit and also medical kit for treating hypothermia or just a water barrier. Because if I'm treating someone else, I don't want to expend my resources that I use for me on them. So this is kind of an expendable item that I can help supplement whatever they're carrying with them. I have a burn dressing that's also just a triangular bandage. So that's both for treating major burns, just keeping them clean, as well as using that for like a sling, or triangular bandages have all sorts of uses, very multi-purpose item. Pair of hyphen vent chest seals. Again, chest seals probably not really something you would need in the backcountry, but it's something that I keep in there, and that's just to treat any penetrating trauma to the chest cavity. I got a pair of light nitrile gloves. That's again for treating someone else. 2 packs of compressed gauze. This is for wound packing, so major bleeding in your junctional areas, for penetrating trauma to the junctional areas, or just a bunch of gauze. It's very compact, waterproof, so I can make small bandages out of this. I can wrap, you know, injuries with it. It's good to have some gauze, and I prefer carrying that than the 4x4s and stuff, because if it's a major bleed, I have enough gauze here to treat it, but I can also use that for minor wounds. I generally don't treat small little cuts and stuff. I'll put some of this tincture on it and keep going, so it's not really a big deal to me. I have a SWAT T tourniquet. This is not a tourniquet for me. I mean, it could be in a backup. I don't like it as much. I prefer the cat tourniquet. This one's harder to apply, but it's a really long piece of stretchy rubber, like an exercise band. And so I can use this as a pressure dressing. I can use this as like an ace bandage if I sprain an ankle or something, to wrap it tight. Has lots of different uses, and because it's rubber, you can clean it really easily, disinfect it. So if you have an injury that you're constantly having to change bandages on until you can get out of the backcountry, you can sterilize this in some boiling water and reapply it so you can keep the infections down. So it's kind of heavy, but it's also orange, so I could cut it up and use it for trail markers or anything like that. Even make a slingshot out of it. So pretty handy piece of kit. And then the last few items, I have another set of extra contacts, because I wear contacts, and if I were to run out, that would be a bad day. So I like making sure I have plenty of extra. And then I just have a handful of water purification tablets as a backup to purify water, prevent the diarrhea. And then just some over-the-counter medications. I have some Benadryl, some cold and flu medicine in case, you know, you start feeling under the weather out there. Some Tylenol, and then some Pepto-Bismol in case you get some diarrhea. You can help treat that, keep you from getting dehydrated. So yeah, that's my first aid kit. Pretty straightforward. It's nothing crazy. more than what most people carry probably, but I feel pretty confident in my ability to treat most injuries I would come across in the wilderness setting. You know, your burns, your breaks, your sprains. I don't have a splint in here because that's kind of bulky, and you can make splints off the landscape relatively easily. And usually an injured extremity like that, whether it's a sprain or a break, that's that's not necessarily a life-threatening injury. It could be over time, but you have some time to construct a splint. You're not having to treat it immediately. So I can treat, most of the injuries that I'm worried about, whether it be for myself or someone else. And it's a pretty small, compact kit. And then going over to my hygiene kit, because hygiene is kind of part of first aid, preventing injuries before you ever get them. This time I'm going pretty minimal. 3 days is not really that long of a time, and I'm not worried about needing much more than this. So I got a couple extra pairs of contacts. These are the primary ones that I'll be using every day. I have a pair of wet ones that are antibacterial. That's both my toilet paper and hand wipes. And I can also use that, to clean up my body, but preventing that bacteria is very good. And I like the scented ones just because it makes you feel kind of human again. And then just a cotton bandana here, and this also is my mosquito head net because it has a mosquito net on one side. It's from Wazoo Gear. Really like that, so I can keep myself relatively clean. I don't have soap. Probably normally I'd bring soap with me. I'm not really worried about it. Going to be going pretty minimal this time around. You can use like ashes from fire to kind of help clean your hands, so not worried about that. Next thing we'll talk about is my fire kit. So pretty simple here. I have a Bic lighter in this Exotac fire sleeve, so that's just quick, easy way to get a fire going. I have a small little ferro rod right here from Exotac as well. And then for my tinder, I just have 3 of these Wazoo fire cards. So these really flammable card. I love these fire starters. I recommend you check them out. But yeah, that's my emergency tinder. But it's springtime now, so there's plenty of tinders around that I can use to get a fire going. Next thing, going over my navigation kit. My primary source of maps is just going to be my cell phone. I have maps downloaded on there. I'm also going to be using this time to be listening to a lot of stuff because it's going to be along a trail, so not a lot of navigation needed. This is just to make sure I'm staying on track and to be able to find water sources and stuff. So I have that, and to go along with that, I have 2 battery banks here. This one's from Anchor, and this is a 500 milliamp, no, 5,000 milliamp battery bank. So that should be enough for 3 days to keep my phone charged. I have it on airplane mode, so that way it's not constantly searching for signals. And then if I get up to a high point where I need to get signal, I can turn that off, but I'm kind of going out here to enjoy not being connected to the modern world. So I do have that, have some stuff downloaded on it to listen to, some music, stuff like that. So, and then I have this battery bank and solar panel from Power Film, and I have a small charging kit here that has the cables needed to charge my devices. So between those 2 things, I kind of have indefinite power because I can recharge via solar. It just takes a little bit. Not a navigation item, but it goes with my phone. Just got a pair of earbuds right here to be able to listen to stuff. I do enjoy listening sometimes when I'm out in the wild or watching some YouTube at night. I'll download some videos. So just a nice way to relax. And then to go along with my phone and the map, I have a Zoom 2 MC2 compass. This is also part of my signaling kit because I have a mirror right here to be able to signal, and hygiene to be able to inspect my face, look at anything that I might need to if I were to get a cut or something, help put my contacts in. You can hold it in your teeth and use it to put your contacts in. So it works pretty well for that. And then I have a small whistle from Wazoo Gear for, again, signaling, and then a pair of pace beads here to be able to keep track of pace if I'm dead reckoning, cross country, and I need to keep precise count of how far I've gone. So that's always with me. And then also part of my signaling and land nav kit, is just this, what is this? Phoenix HM50R V2.0. And so this is just my flashlight. I like it because it has a lockout feature, so you can lock it so it won't get pressed and turn on. It's USB-C rechargeable, so I can recharge it with my battery banks, but it also takes just batteries, so I can put a new battery in there if I need to. I didn't bring any extra batteries because I can just recharge it. Plenty of light to last a couple nights, not all night, but a couple nights of doing stuff. And I just always have that dummy corded to me so I can't lose it. But yeah, great little flashlight. Has red mode, has a SOS strobe for signaling, and then just has white light as well. Bright enough for me, and very small, compact. It's just a right angle flashlight, so what I'll usually do is just clip it to my collar and it'll shine down in front of me. I'm not a big fan of headlamps because then everywhere you look, that light's shining, and so it's shining in people's eyes if you're in a group setting. And I just like kind of an ambient light to light up around me, and I can always take it off and shine it if I need to. And I have a light on my pistol, so if there is something at night that I'm concerned about, I do have a light so I can still present my gun without having to try to hold a handheld light and see what it is, or having a headlamp on and it washes out your sights. So yeah, do like having that. And then as well, I have just a notebook here and this cover from Tough Possum Gear, and I have some trail markers from Wazoo Gear that are orange on one side, reflective on the other. They're just like bread ties, and so you can stick them on branches. Got a handful of those to be able to mark my way if I would need to. Have a small protractor here if I was carrying paper maps, which I'm not. That just always stays in there. Like I said, the Wazoo fire cards. Then I just have a small reference kit for reading maps. Mostly just has some stuff on declination and important information to remember when you're tired and dehydrated and thirsty. Yeah, and then I just have this notebook which has some contact information. It has my personal information, my blood type, any medical allergies. So that's kind of my information, and I also use that notebook for taking notes. Continuing on, hopefully this video isn't too boring, but everyone loves gear, so I'm kind of deep diving into it. I just have this bag here, and in this I just have extra camera accessories. So I keep the head strap for my GoPro, I have extra GoPro batteries, a light for the camera, chargers for the batteries. So just the stuff to keep the camera going over multiple days. And I can throw the camera in there if I want to store it so it doesn't get scratched. Because I'm just filming on a GoPro Hero 12, and I have an external microphone on it. Continuing on to what I'm bringing for food. So I kind of have two parts to my food kit. I have a small fishing kit here from Crystal Creek Gear. Pretty nifty little kit. It's 3D printed, which is pretty cool. And so I have a small reel here, hand reel, and then on the inside it just has some storage for some flies and lures and stuff like that. So I like that kit. Works great for the small mountain stream fishing and stuff. It's small, lightweight, so I can throw it in my pack, use it if I want to, because like I said, I'm going to be following some rivers almost the whole way, so I might get a chance to catch some fish, and that'd be nice for dinner. I do also have my fishing license as well. And then in this dry bag right here, I really love these dry bags from Sea Line. These are the ones that the Marine Corps uses, but they have vents on them. They're lightweight enough that they are compact, but they're heavy duty enough I'm not worried about them ripping. And so I use them. I have two of them, and I really like them for my kit. And so going over what food I have, I got some watermelon licorice, just for some candy to snack on the trail. I'm definitely not going lightweight on food this trip. I'm wanting to, make sure I eat plenty. Then I got some dried mangoes and some bison jerky. Then I have some Lara bars, some Chomps jerky, that's turkey, and then some liquid IVs. And then I got 3 of these Star Crest Smart Bowls, and so it's tuna, with like noodles and stuff. So these are a nice little, there's only 160 calories, not really great for the weight. They taste good, they're easy to eat, so I like these for lunches. And then I just have a mixture of Mountain House and Peak refill meals. I got 2 breakfasts and 2 dinners, and then I'll just snacks for lunch. And then I just have some of these Peak cookie bites. They're pretty good. So not a lot of food, but definitely enough that I'm not going hungry. This is the heaviest item in my pack. It's just the food bag. But yeah, I love having those vents on the dry bags because you can press all the air out and it gets pretty small. And then this is also going to be my bear bag, so I can hang it in the tree using that cordage that I talked about earlier, since it is springtime now. So the last item really that I want to talk about is my shelter component. Obviously I'm wearing part of my shelter component, but what I'll be carrying for my sleep system and additional clothes, it is expecting maybe some rain the last day. So I have a T60 emergency shelter from Coal Cracker Bushcraft. Really like this shelter, super light, super compact, but it's a 5x7 tarp. That's one of my favorite kit items. Got a pair of leather gloves right here, and they're just wax. They're a little bit oversized, so I can throw a pair of wool glove liners in there. But these are great for, you know, collecting firewood, taking hot items off the fire. If it were to get cold, keep my hands warm. Just a nice piece of safety gear. I have this large piece of cotton muslin from Primitive Wilderness Survival. Just a great multi-use item. It's also a towel to be able to dry my feet off and stuff after creek crossings. Speaking of creek crossings, I got a pair of Earth Runner sandals. These are for camp shoes as well as crossing creeks. I can hike in them as well, but I've been doing a lot of that and my feet are kind of sore because they're not tough enough yet, so I got the boots for hiking. But easy pair of camp shoes that are really nice, and they allow your feet to breathe completely, so it's great for preventing blisters after a long day of hiking and your feet being wet from sweat. And then clothing bag, another one of these dry bags, and I have it labeled so I don't accidentally grab the wrong one if I'm going for a day hike or something. That happened to me once. And in here, this is just all the extra clothing I'm bringing. So I have my First Light rain jacket. This is the lightweight version. I opted out of bringing rain pants because these pants dry quick enough, and there's not a lot of rain in the forecast. I got a nice weather window this spring. Got a pair of First Light Kiln top and bottom. This is the quarter zip hoodie. Bottoms are still in there. So yeah, there's the zip off bottoms. I really like zip off. It's best technology for any type of layer that you can just throw on without having to take your boots off. I got a merino wool net gaiter. This is the lightweight version. That's from First Light as well. Got a pair of extra socks and underwear. What else do I got? I got a midweight net gaiter. Net gaiters are super useful items because you can use them for rags or for all sorts of different things. I love net gaiters. Then a pair of lightweight merino wool glove liners from First Light. And that's enough that if it were to drop really cold, I would be okay. Obviously it's not full winter gear, but I'm comfortable with that. Keep me warm. And then I have a change of clothes in case my outer layer gets wet. I can throw the wool on around camp, let my other stuff dry out. And then if it's really cold out, I can add this to my sleep gear, help me stay warm. So not a lot of extra clothes, but just enough that I feel comfortable going, 20 plus miles from the car. I know that I'll be okay. I opted out of bringing rain pants. I think I said that. Usually they're not, for me, they're not super worth it because they just make you hot and sweaty. And then moving on, the next thing I have is this Gore-Tex bivy from Corinthia. That will be what my whole sleep system goes inside of, and it protects my pad from getting punctures, holds everything together, blocks the wind gusts, stuff like that. So great bivy there. A little heavy, but I think it's worth it for a durable layer. For my sleep pad, I have this Thermarest Neo Air X Therm. Really like this pad. It's a little noisy, but I don't mind that. It's super comfortable, really warm, and very lightweight and packable. And I sleep amazing on that. And then my actual sleep system is in this Thermarest dry bag made by Sea Line, and it has the valve on it to blow up my pad, so I can it kind of doubles as a multi-purpose item. But in here I have a wool watch cap for sleeping because I use a down quilt, and so my head gets cold at night. I have a 20-degree down quilt from War Bonnet. I really like that. And then I have Tough Possum Gear extra large survival scarf. This is just a big polyester bag. It's double layered, so one side's orange, one side's green, and it's big enough that I can fit in it like a sleeping bag. It works as a sleeping bag liner. Adds about 10 to 20 degrees to my quilt. Great lightweight piece of kit. It's also part of my Signal kit, as well as my War Bonnet quilt. I custom made it with the colors you can make, and I have green on the outside and fluorescent orange on the inside. So again, another big orange panel that I can use for signaling. And then the last thing I have in here is a Thermarest pillow. And this is definitely a bulky pillow, but it has down on the top, really comfortable, and the most comfortable blow-up pillow. I've never really been a big fan of inflatable pillows, but this one I get a great night's sleep with. And that whole system packs down really small, and with that I'm good down into the teens. I'd probably have to throw my wool layers on if it's going to be colder, like down in the teens or close to single digits, but I'd be okay. I'm most comfortable with this in probably the 20s. But yeah, it packs down really small, and inside this dry bag it's waterproof, so all my important pieces of gear, whether it be clothing, food, stuff like that, it's all waterproof, so I'm not worried about my pack getting submerged if I was crossing a creek or something. Then I have this Tough Possum Gear sit pad, orange on one side, very dirty right now, but again, Signal panel, and it's just a foam pad that I can sit on, using it like a chair. I can fan a fire with it, use it as a splint, you know, lots of different uses for this. Really like it. And then the pack I'm going to be using is this pack that's fairly new to me. I had to get it for a trip that's coming up where I need a lot more capacity, but this is the Hill People Gear Ute Light, I believe, and I really like the suspension system on it. This yoke system is the most comfortable I've ever worn, and very nice hip pad, nice and wide. All the straps are very wide, which I like because I'm a pretty skinny, bony person, and so thin straps that are really padded, they dig in and just don't feel comfortable. So I really like this pack. Plenty of capacity. I believe it has like 68 liters in straps to add to it, so very happy with this pack. All right, so it's important not just to talk about what gear I'm bringing, but actually how I pack it, because properly packing your backpack is really important in order to distribute the load properly on your back, but also be able to get to the items you need. So we'll talk about that. First thing, we'll talk about what's on body, because I think it's important to have a few items on body, so that way you always have them with you, even if you're separated from your pack. So I normally carry a chest rig for the pistol, but I wanted to go really lightweight this trip, so I didn't bring it. So I'm just carrying appendix with the hip belt. It fits pretty nicely over the top. So pistol's first thing. Cell phone goes in the pocket, as well as earbuds, so I have those. I got my notebook. That just goes in one of my thigh pockets here. have that zipped up. Then I have my car keys and wallet in my back pocket that has a zipper on it. So those are secure. I shouldn't have to get into that pocket at all for the entire trip. So that way they're always in my pants. They can't fall out when I take the pants off at night. And then I always know where those at so I don't lose them when I get back to the vehicle. Leatherman goes in this pocket. Flashlight. I have dummy corded to a belt loop in the other pocket. That way I always have a light source on me. Compass, pace beads, and whistle I keep up in this chest pocket. So really it's just a matter of keeping the items on you that are absolute necessity. I already talked about the pair of contacts I have, and then I just keep the pen in there. And that's all I keep on body as far as kit items. I don't get crazy with what I'm carrying on me, but that's enough that I'm comfortable. I also have a wristwatch. And then starting with the pack, so I usually load the main compartment first, and I put my sleep system at the bottom. It's usually the most bulky item, and it also is the last thing I used at the end of the day, so it can stay in the bottom so that way I don't have to use it. But first, this sit pad. This pack has a pocket back here. You could hang like a water bladder or something in there, but or I guess you can't hang it, there's no loop, but you can put a water bladder in there. I don't use those, but this sit pad fits perfectly in that pocket, and it kind of acts like a frame sheet because the back of the pack here doesn't have any padding up top, only down here at the bottom. It has these aluminum stays, but that's to save weight, which I'm fine with. But if you have something in there that's, you know, a little bulky or uncomfortable, that foam pad, the sit pad, keeps it from pushing through and hitting you in the back between the shoulder blades. So I put that in that sleeve, sits in there nicely. One other thing to mention that I forgot, I always keep a contractor drum liner, trash bag, down in the bottom of the pack. That way I can put my whole pack in there and waterproof the entire pack. It can be a poncho for someone else, and just so many uses for a contractor bag. So I just keep that down in the bottom of the pack. I actually pretty much always forget about it, but I always know I have it. Sleep system then goes down all the way at the bottom. Then I'll take my sleep pad, put that in there, grab the bivvy, that goes next to the sleep pad. So now the whole pack is only filled up to here at this point, and that's just my sleep system. So then the next thing I'll throw in there is my food bag. And then I have my cotton cloth there. Camera bag goes at the top so I can get to it easier. Tourniquet goes on this side in the water bottle pocket. And I have a shock cord on there so I can get it out really easily. And then in the front pocket here, that's where I slide my clothing bag. That way I can get to it on the go if I need to add some layers, get my rain jacket out. There we go. And then I have the wet ones and the contacts, and there's a little mesh pocket in the front here that those just slide into. Leather gloves go in here. Fishing kit. Titanium cup. Slides right there. And then in the top compartment up here, I have my battery bank, medical kit, bandana, tarp, lighter and ferro rod, repair kit and cordage, water bladder, spoon, battery bank. That pocket's kind of like my possibles pouch. And I can go ahead and zip the top closed, and there's still extra room in here because I even have it cinched down on the side with this paracord lacing. And normally, if I wasn't going for 3 days, I wouldn't be bringing that much food. And I just buckle these compression straps. And I could even add a dry bag to the top if I needed to for extra room. And then right here, I got my sandals. That way they can dry out easily. And I make sure to run this strap through the lacing on the sandals, so that way they can't slip out. There we go. I have the tomahawk on the side here in this trekking pole holder. Wrap the shock cord around it so it can't fall out. And then I could add the other trekking pole to the other side if I wasn't going to be carrying it. And then on the hip belt here, I have a carabiner, a locking carabiner, and I just throw my knife on there because when you have a hip belt on, you can't exactly wear it on your pants belt. That way I have it on there. It hangs low enough that I can still get to it, but it doesn't flop and hit me in the leg. And then just my water bottle and filter goes in this water bottle pouch. And then on the other side, I have this other water bottle pouch, and that's usually where I slide my camera when I'm not filming. So that's the whole system. I would say, I didn't weigh it, I'd say it weighs less than 35 pounds. Probably around like 25 to 30 pounds. And that's perfectly fine for me. I try to keep my pack under like 30% of my body weight. So yeah, pretty happy with this setup. Very comfortable, easy to carry, and it will keep me warm, comfortable, fed, and happy for the next 3 days as I'm out backpacking. If you want to see the video of my trip, make sure to stay tuned. I don't know if I'll release this before that or what the schedule will look like, but I will either before this video or after this one, I will have a video for my 3-day backpacking trip, which will be pretty cool. It's going to be a really neat spot, a lot of beautiful views, and like I said, a nice river the whole way. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about the gear I'm using or how I use it, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see and what adventures I could do. Yeah, and until next time, adventure with purpose.